Sasabihin pa ako, nakalimutan ko. Mali. Ewan. Ulitin natin. Edit. Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about a controversial topic called karma. Hello, this is Berto and this is my channel where I share my journey as a shaman practitioner. And today, I really just want to share with you my experience in burning karma. How it works, at least from my experience, and hopefully that gives you an idea how you can experience this phenomenon for yourself. Let's get into it. First off, let me start with a disclaimer. I am not one of those who will claim I'm enlightened or a master. I work with a master teacher and he's also a shaman and he makes all of these things possible for me. But I would like to share my experiences with you as well because I believe even within our tribe, there's very little awareness of this kind of very important spiritual work. And today, I'm going to give you an idea of how I seem to have burned my karma. Some have occurred naturally, and some were very deliberate using shamanic work. And in this video, I want you to see the difference between these two methods. And by no means I'm saying that this is an exhaustive list and this is the only ways that you can burn your karma. I don't know that. I have not tested all the ways you can burn your karma. Let's just put it that way. In fact, I would encourage you, if you have other stories that can help other people, write them down in the comments so we can continue to give examples and continue inspiring people on how they themselves can burn their karma. Because that's my only intention in this video. I want to inspire you to take action and show you why it's a very good thing to actually burn your karma. And yeah, like I mentioned, I don't know all of the methods to burn your karma, but what I do know are some methods that work for me and it works for my life. So I'd like to share that to you. So after all that disclaimer, let's get into it, like officially get into it. The first way, which is probably the hardest for some people, maybe for some people this is the easiest, but whatever, it is to do your inner work. Some people call it inner work, some people call it working for yourself, whatever, there are many terms. But basically, I encountered inner work when I met my community and they showed me how to do it. Basically, I went on to something similar to a retreat where I worked with a head coach for 3 straight days. And during the time, I really had no notion of what conscious work or what inner work really means. And during the time, I was stuck in a job that I didn't like. Let's just put it that way. You know, the usual long hours, low pay kind of job that I used to have. What happened to me after that weekend was short of a miracle. Just after a few days, when I completed that weekend, I got an offer from a good company and they offered me more than 50% of my raise. And the most important part is, for me at least, is that this job gave me more free time to pursue things that I like to pursue in my personal time. In fact, I still credit that miracle for allowing me to develop myself to become a shaman and share these things with you guys. You know, creating YouTube videos takes a lot of time. And I'm still with the same company and I still kept growing my career, getting more opportunities to, you know, just expand myself. And yeah, I'm a modern shaman. I live in a modern world, just like probably many of you who are listening to this video. And it's only after a few years that studying esoteric principles and shamanism that I realized that I actually had my first encounter of burning karma. To be honest, I just realized it last week while I was like researching for this topic, and some of the masters, they told their audience that time that, hey, if you do your inner work, your karma will naturally fall off. And then I go like, oh, so that's how it works. And that's what I want to share with you guys. What they say is actually true. It worked for me. It worked for my life. Even though I have not learned that lesson from them, I just kept on working on myself. So basically, when I learned my lesson from my trauma and I managed to connect to myself emotionally, that's when things started to turn out, or some people call it now, your karma becomes positive. Because, you know, before that weekend, I really am just emotionally blocked as a person. I don't know how to express myself. And in that weekend, when I realized that this coming from a trauma, when my grandmother died, my grandmother whom I love very much, I decided that I don't want to feel anything anymore. And when I saw that, I realized, no, actually, that's not true. I want to feel something. It was just I got hurt with my grandmother dying. That's why I locked myself up. And again, that's when my life started to turn around. And honestly, more than the job, which I still love, I still do, what's more important for me is that nowadays I can say that I actually feel so many things. I can sympathize more with people. I can express myself even if it's a negative emotion like anger. And one of my favorite perks is I get to enjoy movies better. You know, I can relate to it emotionally, and sometimes I have this sad movie Fridays where I just lock myself up in my room and I just cry on a movie. Just to get in touch with my emotions and that kind of thing. And in that way, I really feel more human after that. And that's it. The first part really is to learn your lesson from whatever struggles that you have in your life. Now let's go to another thing, which is more on the outer work. And this is where the shamanic side comes in. I don't really like to use the word outer work, but I just want to make a distinction that there are some things that are beyond you, and there's still karma that we need to deal with on those terms. Let's just put it that way. So I guess it will be clearer once I share my story. So my story started when I got in touch with one of my ancestors. And for shamans, that's something that's very important. In one of my trance states, I managed to get in touch with my great-grandfather. And for some reason, he understands this process. And when he was talking to me from the afterlife, he said, hey, can you perform this ceremony for me that burns my karma on my behalf? So I did it. You know, he made this request and he told me that I actually want to help you with your finances and your health. And he specifically mentioned, especially for your health. I was very worried about your health. And honestly, that time, I did not really pay attention, like, how it would benefit me. It was a very short discussion with him, and you know, trance states are very hard to hold. But all I know at that time is that I need to take action, because it's always a good thing to burn for your ancestors, especially if they specifically requested for it, right? I think that's something that's very common, especially for people who are of the Chinese culture. They still practice this every ghost month. But more than that, I really just know that, you know, I just want to thank my ancestors, because without their work of survival, without them reproducing, I would not be here, essentially. So I went all the way to my great-grandfather's grave. It's in a remote island in the Philippines, and I did the ceremony there. I looked for his specific grave. And what happened to me after that was, again, almost like a miraculous thing. From the financial side, for some reason, my family was gifted with a piece of land. Because for some reason, we discovered that one of my grandfather, which is technically the son of this great-grandfather who talked to me, was a U.S. war veteran. And in the Philippines, if you're a U.S. war veteran, there are some provisions for you to be granted a land. And obviously, my parents named that land after me. And more importantly, there's another side of it. Remember, I told you that my great-grandfather was very worried about my health. So I kept doing some of the work, and I decided to take on a self-care project. And what I did was to basically just go to a gym and try to assess my health and try to figure out how I can be healthier. It was a very simple project for myself. But after they did their professional assessment, they told me very grim news that if I continue being in this kind of state physically, I will later on develop diabetes and heart attack, and I will, you know, die early, because I was one of those like skinny fat kind of person, meaning I'm fatter than I look. And what I also realized at that point is like, oh my god, my great-grandfather was right, because I know for a fact that diabetes runs in my family. In fact, my grandfather died of diabetes himself. And that's when I go like, wow, my great-grandfather was actually giving me a warning from the other side. And I wouldn't have seen that if one, I did not make my shamanic connection to him, and secondly, I didn't give him that energy that he needed to actually influence the things that are happening inside my life right now. And as I look at all the things that happened to me, I really felt like I was being guided and I was being led to making the right decision after I burned that karmic ceremony for my great-grandfather. And obviously, well, at least to the limit of my understanding, he has a very big part to play in that path that I am taking now. And that made me believe so much more in the power of burning karma. I mean, honestly, if those interventions did not happen physically, what good is having all this spiritual realization without a healthy body, right? And now I'm in a state where I've never been healthier in my entire life. I still haven't completed my work, but I'm progressing really well on that as well. So there you go. These are my personal examples of how working on your karma actually impacts you. And I actually have more examples. I just thought I'll give you some contrast so that you can distinguish how one works. And I have more stories. So maybe if I meet you in some of the events, or you can just message us. You can comment in this video if you like, if you have other questions, if you want to hear more about these kinds of stories. But again, these are just 2 stories, and I hope that gives you an idea of why burning karma is very important. But I guess in both cases, I could say it really impacted my evolution and my growth as an individual, at least in this lifetime. And I could not emphasize that enough. Especially for those of you who, like me, like to evolve himself as best as possible. The best way you can. But like what we always say in this channel, don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself. I mean, seriously, try it out for yourself so you can gather evidence, experience this phenomenon for yourself so that you know that it's real. It's not just some fairy tale that somebody in YouTube told you, including me. But who knows, right? Someday you can also inspire another person to explore this very important part of spirituality and personal evolution itself. And also, if you want to experience this karmic burning ceremony for yourself, we will be opening it up in our tribe. So even a beginner, whatever your proficiency is, can experience this. We will be there to guide the whole tribe regardless of experience and skill, and you can join that ceremony as well. And more importantly, as a principle, when we do things together, the energy, the effect amplifies and you get to benefit more because of that. And really, who knows what kind of miracle you will get after that. All you really need to do is just go to my tribe's Facebook group and look for this invite called Boom Ceremony. We always do that at the end of the year so we can start the year in a more positive karma for ourselves. And what I always tell my team, hit the ground running next year. There are more things to see. There are more things to experience. So lastly, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe to my channel so you can learn more about modern shamanism as a practice that can make your modern life a little bit more magical every day. And that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.